Have you ever noticed how easy it is to get caught up in envy when someone else wins? Do you sometimes find yourself comparing your journey to theirs, feeling smaller instead of inspired? And have you ever wondered if there's a better way? A way to rise above without bitterness, to walk the high road with dignity? Before we dive in, if you value self-growth, resilience, and becoming the strongest version of yourself, make sure you subscribe. Every week, we uncover tools, mindsets, and stories that will help you live with power, purpose, and peace. Today, we're talking about the high road, winning with class, not envy. In a world filled with competition and comparison, the high road is where strength, dignity, and true influence live. Let's break it down into 5 key principles that will reshape the way you respond to success, both yours and others. 1. Choosing dignity over pettiness. Every victory, yours or someone else's, reveals your character. When you win, do you rub it in? When you lose, do you belittle others? The truth is, pettiness is weakness in disguise. Dignity, on the other hand, is power under control. It's the ability to stand tall without needing to step on anyone else. True dignity is one of the rarest qualities you will encounter in life because it requires self-mastery. Pettiness is easy. It requires no discipline, no wisdom, and no courage. Anyone can roll their eyes, gossip behind someone's back, or belittle an achievement. Pettiness is a reflex born of insecurity. It is a defense mechanism meant to mask a sense of inferiority. Dignity, however, takes strength. To choose dignity is to consciously decide that your worth is not measured by comparison with others, but by the way you carry yourself in all situations. When you win, it is not about rubbing your triumph in the face of others. It is about proving that you can handle success without arrogance. When you lose, it is not about dragging others down. It is about showing resilience, humility, and grace under pressure. The way you handle these moments reveals more about your character than the outcome itself. Choosing dignity doesn't mean you ignore injustice or stay silent when something's wrong. It means you don't lower yourself to gossip, cheap shots, or bitterness. You respond with calmness and class, which instantly sets you apart. Too often, people confuse dignity with passivity, as if holding yourself with restraint means you are weak or unwilling to confront wrongs. This is a misunderstanding. Dignity is not silence in the face of injustice. It is refusing to fight with weapons unworthy of you. You can call out dishonesty without being dishonest yourself. You can oppose cruelty without becoming cruel. You can resist unfairness without succumbing to bitterness. In this way, dignity demands even more courage than pettiness, because it requires the discipline to rise above your impulses and choose the higher ground. Think of leaders, philosophers, or teachers remembered through history: Marcus Aurelius, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela. Their legacy is not one of small-minded retaliation or petty insults, but of calm authority, measured responses, and the refusal to be dragged into the mud by those who sought to demean them. People forget pettiness quickly, but they remember dignity for a lifetime. Ask yourself, when the spotlight is on me, do I reveal insecurity or integrity? What makes dignity unforgettable is its rarity. People may laugh for a moment at a cutting remark or a petty act of revenge, but it fades quickly and leaves no lasting respect. Dignity, by contrast, lingers. It is remembered because it leaves others with a sense of quiet awe. Here is someone who could have struck back but chose restraint, who could have gloated but chose humility, who could have taken the easy path of bitterness but chose honor. Dignity is integrity revealed under pressure when people expect you to crack. If you can remain steady, calm, and gracious even when your emotions pull you toward pettiness, you are showing strength few possess. In the end, the question becomes personal. When my moment comes, whether I stand in triumph or defeat, will I reveal my insecurity or will I show my integrity? The answer to that question shapes the kind of legacy you will leave behind. 2. Responding to success with support. It takes real strength to clap when it's not your turn to shine. When someone else wins, envy whispers, "That should have been me." But maturity says, if they can do it, it means it's possible. Supporting another person's success doesn't diminish yours, it expands your capacity for greatness. One of the most common human struggles is envy. It creeps in silently, especially in moments when someone else receives the recognition, the promotion, the opportunity, or the applause that you hoped would be yours. The temptation is to minimize their achievement or to wallow in bitterness, but such responses only tighten envy's grip. Responding to success with support requires immense inner strength. To truly clap for someone else when you feel overlooked is an act of maturity, humility, and wisdom. It means you understand that life is not a zero-sum game where another's win is automatically your loss. Instead, their achievement is a signpost of possibility. If someone else can break through, then so can you. Their victory is proof that success is attainable, not a reason to despair. The mature person celebrates others, not because it feels easy, but because they know envy poisons the soul, while support purifies it. When you celebrate others, you're training your mind to see abundance instead of scarcity. Instead of thinking there's only one seat at the table, you start to realize tables can be expanded, doors can open, opportunities multiply when you align yourself with encouragement, not resentment. Scarcity is one of the most destructive illusions in human thought. It convinces us that life's blessings are limited, that opportunities are rare, that if someone else rises, it means we must fall. This is the voice of fear, and it keeps people trapped in cycles of jealousy and resentment. The truth, however, is that opportunities are not always fixed. Tables can be expanded. A single success story often creates ripples that lift others along the way. By celebrating others, you train your mind to expect abundance, not lack. Encouragement becomes a signal to yourself that you believe good things are not only possible, but inevitable. This shift in mindset transforms your relationships as well, because people instinctively gravitate toward those who celebrate rather than compete with them. Where resentment closes doors, encouragement opens them wide. Every time you support another person's win, you're building silent allies and an energy of goodwill that will circle back to you. There is a law of reciprocity in life. The energy you give out inevitably returns. When you support others, when you clap even when your own hands feel heavy, you are planting seeds of goodwill that will come back to you in unexpected ways. Those you encourage will remember your kindness long after they forget who doubted them. Silent allies are built through simple acts of support, sending a message of congratulations, showing up for someone's big moment, amplifying their work instead of undermining it. Over time, this creates a circle of mutual respect and loyalty. When your moment finally comes, you will not stand alone. You will be surrounded by those who remember how you stood for them. In this way, responding to success with support not only strengthens your character, but also prepares the ground for your future victories. 3. Practicing generosity in mind and action. Generosity isn't just about money, it's about mindset. It's the willingness to share knowledge, give credit, and uplift others even when you're still climbing yourself. It's about being the person who makes the room feel bigger instead of smaller. Too often, generosity is reduced to the giving of money or material possessions. But true generosity begins in the mind and extends far beyond the wallet. It is a posture toward life, a willingness to give from whatever abundance you possess: time, wisdom, encouragement, patience. To be generous is to resist the instinct of self-protection and to instead lean into self-expansion. Even if you are still climbing, you can extend a hand to those behind you. Even if you are still learning, you can share what you know. To make a room feel bigger instead of smaller means you refuse to compete for air. You invite others to breathe freely around you. Such generosity is magnetic because it creates a sense of safety and trust. People remember not just what you achieved, but how you made them feel while you were achieving it. A generous spirit doesn't operate from fear of lack. It knows that giving respect, encouragement, or wisdom never takes away. It multiplies. The greatest leaders and mentors are remembered not for hoarding success, but for spreading it. At the root of true generosity is a mindset of abundance. Fear whispers that if you give, you will run out. It tells you to hold tightly to your ideas, your resources, your recognition, because sharing will somehow diminish you. But the reality is the opposite. The more you give, the more you grow. Respect multiplies when given. Encouragement creates courage in others, which then cycles back as inspiration to you. Wisdom, when shared, does not shrink, it expands, because the act of teaching deepens your own understanding. The leaders and mentors we admire are rarely those who kept everything to themselves. They are remembered for how freely they gave of their time, their insight, and their belief in others. In this way, generosity is not only an act of kindness, but also a strategy for long-term influence. If you want to stand out in a culture of envy, practice generosity, not just in your wallet, but in your words, your time, and your willingness to help others rise. We live in a culture that often rewards envy, gossip, and rivalry. People are quick to compete, to compare, and to tear others down in order to stand taller. Generosity stands in radical opposition to this. To be generous in such a culture is to become a light in the dark, a rare presence that people cannot ignore. It is not enough to give money, though money has its place. What sets you apart is how you use your words. Are they uplifting or destructive? How you spend your time. Do you invest it only in yourself or also in others? And how you use your influence. Do you hoard it or do you share it in ways that allow others to rise with you? Practicing generosity in mind and action is not only about kindness, it is about resistance. It is the refusal to be shaped by envy and scarcity, and the determination to live by abundance and integrity. Those who choose this path stand out, not because they seek attention, but because generosity naturally leaves a legacy that envy never can.
4. Avoiding public comparison games. Comparison is the silent thief of joy. But public comparison, the kind we see plastered all over social media, is even more dangerous. It pressures you to measure your worth by likes, followers, and material displays. The moment you join that game, you've already lost, because there's always someone ahead. No matter how high you climb, there will always be another person posting something shinier, newer, or seemingly greater. What makes it worse is that these curated highlights rarely reflect reality. People display their best angles, their best moments, their most flattering achievements, while concealing the failures, doubts, and insecurities that accompany them. When you compare your entire life, its struggles, its quiet frustrations, its unseen challenges to someone else's polished snapshot, you create an illusion that you're falling behind, when in truth, you're only seeing half the picture. That is why comparison, especially in the public sphere, is so corrosive. It doesn't just distort how you see others, it poisons how you see yourself. Instead of feeding the endless loop of comparisons, choose privacy. Choose progress that speaks for itself. True confidence doesn't need a scoreboard, it needs consistency. Privacy grants you freedom. When you don't announce every step, you can take detours, stumble, and learn without the audience of the crowd. When your worth isn't tied to applause, you discover the deeper satisfaction of working for its own sake. There is quiet strength in keeping your goals close to your chest and revealing them only when the results are undeniable. Epictetus once taught that we should not explain our philosophy, but embody it. Likewise, it is far more powerful to let people notice the change in you than to constantly proclaim it. Private victories prepare the ground for lasting public impact, but the reverse rarely works. When you put the appearance of success before the actual substance, the foundation cracks the moment the attention fades. Therefore, the antidote to comparison is devotion to process, an internal scoreboard that measures effort, growth, and discipline, not applause or likes. The high road is walked quietly. Your progress will speak louder than your posts, and when you stop competing publicly, you'll rediscover peace privately. Peace comes when you realize that your path is yours alone, that your timing is not another person's timing, and that your worth cannot be outsourced to an audience. Seneca wrote, "It is not the man who has too little that is poor, but the one who hankers after more." Public comparison keeps you chasing endlessly for more approval, more recognition, more validation, without ever arriving. But when you step off that stage and walk your own path, you find a richer kind of wealth, contentment. You begin to enjoy your work again, not for how it looks, but for what it is. You rediscover friendships that are not based on envy, goals that are not dictated by trends, and progress that is not chained to applause. The one who avoids the game wins the greatest prize of all, freedom from it.
5. Building a legacy of respect. At the end of the day, the question is not, how much did I win, but how did I win? Respect lasts longer than recognition. People may forget the trophy you held, but they will never forget the way you treated them. Recognition is fickle. Today's applause can fade into tomorrow's silence. But respect is different. Respect plants roots in memory. Long after the moment has passed, people carry with them the impression of your character. Did you win with humility? Did you lose with dignity? Did you stand firm when it was hard to do so? These are the qualities that endure. The man who gathers medals but leaves bitterness behind has gained little. The one who inspires trust, kindness, and admiration, even in rivals, has built something greater than victory, a legacy. Building a legacy of respect means you choose character over clout, impact over image, and contribution over competition. You rise by lifting others, and in doing so, you create a reputation that even time cannot erase. To build such a legacy requires a deliberate choice, especially in a world obsessed with speed, spectacle, and self-promotion. It means resisting shortcuts that might bring immediate gain at the cost of integrity. It means recognizing that real leadership is not domination, but service, not arrogance, but example. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful men in history, reminded himself daily to be gentle, to be patient, to be just. He knew that the throne itself could not shield him from judgment, for time humbles all titles, but character outlives the ages. When you make decisions guided not by ambition but by principle, you leave behind something weightier than your name in a headline. You leave behind a model of how to live. Think of the people you admire most. Chances are it's not just because of their accomplishments, it's because of their dignity, generosity, and grace. That's the legacy worth chasing. What we admire in others is rarely the accumulation of wealth or recognition alone, but the way they carried themselves through life. We respect the teacher who gave tirelessly, the friend who was loyal in silence, the leader who remained humble in power, the parent who sacrificed without complaint. These are the qualities that endure in memory because they touch something deeper than achievement. They touch humanity itself.
If you want to be remembered, then strive not merely to be recognized, but to be respected. Recognition fades when the spotlight moves on, but respect endures in the quiet remembrance of those whose lives you touched. That is the kind of immortality accessible to everyone, the choice to live with honor today so that tomorrow your name will be spoken with warmth and not merely mentioned as a footnote. Legacy is not measured in applause, but in the unseen reverence of those you leave behind.
So, the next time envy calls your name, remember the choice is yours. Will you take the low road of comparison and bitterness, or the high road of class and confidence? Choose dignity over pettiness. Support success instead of resenting it. Be generous in spirit and action. Refuse to play the comparison game. And above all, build a legacy of respect that outlives you. If this message resonated with you, hit that subscribe button, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And remember, true strength isn't found in envy or competition. It's found in walking the high road every single day.